Hello, today in this tutorial we are going to be learning how to design a counter app using React.js, and in this video the major things you are going to learn including how to use React useState hook, how it works, and you are going to learn perfectly how to implement it in order to make this counter work as expected. So the first thing we are going to do here is to create a new folder, and then I'm going to name it counter app. So now, after creating a folder and name it counter app, the next thing I want to do is to open this counter app folder inside my code editor, which in this scenario, I'm going to use VS Code. You can use another text editor of your choice. So I open up the folder inside the VS Code, and then I want to open terminal because I definitely want to install React. So I'm going to open up the terminal, make it a little bit adjusted, and then I'm going to write npx create React app. Then I'm going to put period and backslash because I definitely wanted to create a React app inside this current directory. This tutorial is definitely for people who are already learning React.js. If you started learning or you already learn React.js, this tutorial is perfect for you. But if you have not started yet learning React.js yet, you might not understand what we are talking about or what I'm doing fully inside this video. So it's better you go and learn React.js course before you take this video as your beginner project. So basically we have to do npm install and npm create React app, and everything is getting installed perfectly as expected. So the next thing we are going to do is let's wait for it to finish first. Then after it's loading, it is already completing. So let's see what's the next thing it's going to do. It's removing some template package. Anyway, let's wait for it to finish that. So it says happy hacking. Whenever you see happy hacking while installing React, that means it has installed successfully. So let's check out how our folder look like. So I open up the sidebar, and as you see the list of files and folders that's already generated for us. So inside the app.js file, which is where our main application is sitting, we have some bunch of code which we don't need for now, but let's see what's happened. So I'm going to write npm start. So my application is going to start running on my own browser. So, and we are going to see the initial demo template that is built in there. So let's wait for it to load. It may take 2 minutes or 1 minute or less. So we are waiting for it to load, and I think it's already loaded fast. So after loading, you see it has some template there. So I want to remove every code here because I definitely don't need any of them currently. So I'm going to remove everything here, save it, then go to other files, and then let's check it out. So app.css, we have some bunch of CSS here that I don't need again. So I'm removing them and saving it again. So I'm going to go to index.css also and remove everything that's here, because I don't need it also. So I save. So I'm going to move to index.js, but I'm not going to remove everything that is here. I'm going to remove the report vital web importation, and then I'm going to remove how it is implemented from the bottom. So I'm going to remove everything, including all these comments. I don't need them. So if you check the browser now, let's check the browser, and we are going to see our application is blank. There's no template in there. So I'm going to go to my app.js and write some code. I'm going to do RAFCE and hit on enter. This one is an extension I've installed called React Snippet. So if you don't have it installed, you can go ahead and install it from your extension. So I'm going to briefly show you how to do that. You can just type React Snippet or EX7, and it's definitely going to show you some error, I don't know, maybe. So okay, you see it's pop out the link. You can just hit on install, and everything will get installed on your local machine. And you can also do RAFCE, it will bring this normal template. But if you can't do that, it's okay. You can actually type this out yourself. It's not something that's long. So inside the app.js, I want to create a class and give it app. So now I'm going to definitely create my own div, which is going to contain the div is going to contain the 0, which is the initial count of the application. So let's have it. I'm going to give it a class of, let's say, a class of count, definitely. So after the count inside there, I'm going to type in 0 there. I had coded the 0, and I'm going to have another div here at the bottom, which is going to contain 2 buttons. So the div is going to contain 2 buttons. So inside the button, we are going to have a plus sign and a minus sign, which will allow us to increment and decrement our counter. So this div is going to contain a class called btns because it's going to have 2 buttons nested inside it. So that's why I'm going to name it btn with s, not just without s. So this is the first button, and then I'm going to give it a class of add, because this plus sign means we are adding something up, and then I'm going to copy it and paste it under it. So I'm going to like change this one to reduce, which is like we are reducing something. And then after giving it a class name of reduce, I'm going to change that plus sign to minus sign too. So that's perfect. And let's check out what we are having inside the browser. So you can see we are having a 0 and then plus and minus sign. Let me make it bigger so you can see and reduce it back. I hope everything is clear still. So the next thing we are going to do here now is to let's say import our css, because we definitely want to make some styling, even though we are not going to focus on making it look beautiful because this is not a css class. We are going to focus on just the important part of it. Maybe I just want to center it and then continue with the functionalities. So I want to import my app.css, and then I want to copy this class of app to check whether I've imported the css successfully. So inside this, then I copy the class of app. I don't want to make mistake by typing it, so that's why I copy it dot app, and then open curly braces, add some styling, background color of green, and then save. Let me check it out whether it's have background. No, it doesn't have background color of green. That means I'm doing something wrong. So let me go back to my app.js and check what's the issue, and then let me hit Ctrl save to see. Yeah, you can see I'm having one error inside my compilation. So that means, oh yeah, I did not set the directory path to be dot period slash backslash. So it's definitely why it's showing me error. So this will fix it. You can see now it says well compiled successfully. So let's check it out inside the browser once more. So yeah, you can see now we're having a background color of green, and I can continue with my css to make it center. So I can give it a weight of, let me say 50%. That means the 50% of the whole browser. And then the height, let me give it 400 pixels. I think that would be too much, so let me give it 300 pixels. You can give it actually how much you want, that doesn't matter. Let me give it some margin of 0, and auto do we bring it to the center, and this center I direct it to the middle, and you can see what we're having already. So I want this text and the buttons to appear just at the center of the green box. So I'm going to add a display of flex to it, give it flex direction of column, and then justify content should be center, align items also should be center. I think this should center what we having inside this div perfectly. Yeah, and it does that. So the next thing we are going to do here is to copy the class of count, because we want to make it more bigger. And then I'm going to shift to the bottom by hitting on enter. So dots, I'm going to put the dots, and then count, that's the class I copied, and I'm going to add what we call font size to it to make it more bigger. So font size should be 45 pixels, and let's check it out whether it's looking good already. Yeah, it's big now. You can see it's perfectly bordered more clearly than before. So after having the font size of 45 pixels, I want to style these buttons. I think that's the next thing, to style the buttons, because I told you initially we are not going to be adding more and more css styling. If you want later, you can add more style to your own css and make it look better, but in this tutorial the main focus is for us to learn the concept behind how that counter work, not just the styling. So I give the button the width of 50 pixels and then height also of 50 pixels. So perfect. So I can just give it a display of flex, and then justify content should be center, align items should also be center. So, and let's have it let's check it out, let's see how it looks. Now you can see now our button is looking good. So I want to definitely uh copy this buttons class inside my app.js, and then so paste it dot buttons open curly braces and make it display of flex. So I'm just going to copy all this line of code because I don't want to write it one more time again. So I'm just going to copy all these 3 lines: display flex, justify content, and align items. So I'm copying it and pasting it inside the btns class. So it's going to like make it on the same line instead of stacking on top of each other. Now you can see it's looking a little bit better than before. So the next thing I'm going to do here is to actually add some styling to my button, maybe add a border to make it border radius, to make it circular. Make that's 50%, we make it look circular. And then I'm going to like give it a cursor of pointer, so it's going to show a hand icon when I hover on it. So that's looking perfect already. So I'm going to remove the black circle that's border. I'm setting it to none, and that will work perfectly. I'm going to increase the font size of the button, so it's going to like maybe give it 35 pixels, will look good also. So let's check it out. Now you can see it's looking perfect, but they are all stick together, so I'm going to add a margin to separate them. So I'm going to give it a margin of 20 pixels, so it's going to separate both the buttons and the text. That's perfect. Now we have successfully designed our app.js. So the next thing, I'm going to give it a background color. Those buttons are going to have a background color of something hash. So but I'm going to comment out the initial background color of the app because I don't want it initially. I just put it to be able to track our progress. So now you can see how our app is looking, our counter app. So let's check it out how it's going to look on a mobile device, because whenever you are building something, responsive design also matters. So you can see it's not looking bad actually, but the functionality are not working. Whether I click on the plus icon or minus icon, nothing is going to work because we have not added any functionality to it yet. So let me add some media query so to make it more better. So at media screen and maximum width inside the brackets. I'm going to do maximum width, set it to let's see 900 pixels. That's tablet screen, and then open curly braces. And I'm just going to copy the whole app CSS and paste it there. I'm removing this. I don't even want it again. So I'm going to copy the whole app CSS and then paste it inside this my media query code. Paste it directly. And let's move this one to the bottom of the page so it won't look like we are doing something unprofessional. Media query is supposed to sit at the bottom of everything, so we don't even want the remaining code. All I want is to make the width to be 100% and remove all the other remaining code. I don't need them because we have them up there and they are going to be applicable to the remaining part of it too. So I'm going to save, and then after saving it, width of 100% is going to be perfect. So the next thing we are going to do is to start adding the functionality, the useState. So if you are not familiar with React useState, definitely this is the time to know how it works. The React useState is used for state management. So we import it by using comma, and then in front of import React, I use comma, open curly braces, and bring in the useState. And then under the app, we have const count, comma, and then set count. So the count first, the first count we added is the initial count we want, and then set count is what we are going to do after some action is performed, and then we are going to set the useState to be equals to 0. So we want to set the initial value of the app to be equals to 0, and then here we coded it hardly before, so I'm going to change it to dynamic one by setting it to count. And the value of our count now is 0, so it's going to just automatically be equals to 0. So now let's check our browser and see whether it's going to show 0 or it's going to show us something else. Yes, we still have 0 because our count is set to useState of 0. So inside the button of the add, we are going to have what we call onClick and set it to add. So the add is a function we are going to be creating later. So onClick, we set it to add. And then we are going to just add another onClick to the reduce button and set it to reduce, which all these two functions are what we are going to be creating and implementing later. So onClick should be equals to reduce. we don't have any function called add yet, and we don't have any function called reduce yet, but we are going to just create them now. So I'm going to do const add, and I'm going to use arrow function. If you are not familiar with arrow function, you can go and learn what arrow function does. So it's just the same thing as normal function. So you can see just the syntax are different, but it works the same thing. I'm going to set count to be equals to count plus 1. So whenever someone click on the add button, it's going to set the count to the value it is before, then plus 1. I'm copying this and pasting it under one more time because we're having the other one which is reduce. So I'm pasting it. So let's add some space because to make it could look better. So I'm going to add some spacing, and then inside the spacing I'm going to change this one to reduce. Perfect. And then I'm going to like change it to, instead of plus 1, I'm going to change this one to count minus 1. That's perfect, and I think our app is going to work perfectly as expected now. So let's go and check it out inside the browser. So by clicking on plus sign now, you can see it is incrementing and decrementing. Our application is working perfect. See you in the next one. Bye bye.